All right, it's going to be an XSpace featuring Rui Da Silva from number one hits to blockchain bits back in the great Goriella era of the golden age of trance. Rui Da Silva had a number one hit called Touch Me. It was played by Paul Oakenfold over and over again on repeat, like at Ibiza and Armin van Buuren, and of course, Great Fairy Corsten. They all played this track, and now he's evolved. While he still makes music and he's still involved in producing music, he's evolved into doing being committed to the original Bitcoin blockchain, the Satoshi Vision blockchain. So the original, what's called BSV, and building a business on it. So he and I met in London. We had a good time when I was there earlier this year, and we talked about getting together and doing a space. So here it is. Enjoy. And, we'll see where it goes. Stay to the end and check the whole thing out. I'll see you at the top. Yeah, from number one hits to blockchain bits. This is going to be the space with Rui Da Silva. My name is Gavin. Looking forward to doing this. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started here in a minute. We've got I met Rui Da Silva in London when I went to the London Blockchain conference in May. We sat down there at the very first day of the DevCon. Actually, it was cool to connect with him and get to know him a little bit better about what he was up to. And I think I was more of a fan than anything. When I first met Rui Da Silva, I was probably more of a fanboy than anything because, like being into trance, I really fell in love with trance music a long time ago. And gosh, 2003, 2004, when it first started coming out, the sound started coming out, at least that after Goriella had come out, I didn't even hear about Goriella. It was actually four strings. That's who I heard. The first stuff I heard was like four strings. And then I heard Madonna, Confessions on a Dance Floor. That's really what did it for me. That would have been even before that. First would have been Madonna, Confessions on a Dance Floor, then four strings. But then like around that time was when Rui Da Silva's song Touch Me came out. And, shortly actually before that, it was huge. And I heard it, I didn't probably start hearing that track till 2004 or 5. And, it really meant a lot to me, at that time. So, and it always has. It's a really just uplifting track. And so if you're into music or into, dance music at all, just being inspired, I think that hearing from somebody like that is really impressive, where they get the inspiration to make the music and then it becomes so popular. It becomes a number one hit like that. It's like, how do you remake that? How do you create that moment again? It's so, it's one of those things that you just probably can't, I'd be interested to hear what he has to say about it, because, I had a viral video on YouTube before, and it was just me on my cell phone walking down the street, so there's no way I can understand why. And so it's kind of like, I wonder if it was like that for Rui when he had this track go to number one. now, as far as I've heard, he's had a lot of other tracks that he's made it before, made since then. He still produces tracks, and I know he played in Ibiza more recently. So, but now, from what I understand, he's been posting a lot on X about Bitcoin and about blockchain and about like the evolution of digital currency and like how he sees things with the COPA trial. He saw him posting about the COPA case with Craig Wright, and he's clearly very awake and following what's going on in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And so now, I never seen him come out and do an interview or anything. So this will be a really cool, platform to be able to do it and get the message out there, because I don't think Rui's ever been on anything too much. Maybe he has about his music in the past, but I haven't seen any X Spaces or anything. So really kind of cool to see the man behind all this stuff and get to know him better about what he's doing. And the title of the space that I came up with was From Number One Hits to Blockchain Bits, Rui Da Silva on scaling trust and global trade through microtransactions. So I'm not going to give away the surprises or say what I am or am not allowed to say. So that's just going to leave it at that. And then I'll be able to kind of get the conversation going from there. So looks like I've got you on stage. Casey, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Good morning. It's a great day. And have you ever met Rui Da Silva before?
No, I have not, but I really enjoy his music, so I'm looking forward to the
Nice.
conversation.
Me too. All right, Rui Da Silva, are you able to unmute?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm all right. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thanks for
mean,
the invite.
awesome to have you today. We're super excited, to have you. And because I met you in person, like I feel connected with you, and we spent some time in London together, so that was super cool. I always
Yeah.
I always feel like bonded with people that like we don't just have an online relationship. We we actually met and hung out. So
That's right. That's true.
it
That was a great conference. That was.
really was. Yeah. And I mean, can you just kind of preview this, like what we want to talk about today on the Bitcoin stuff? Just do a short introduction, and then I'd like to talk about the music first. But just quickly, if you could just do a brief introduction before I ask any questions, just about yourself, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Introduction about my work as an artist.
Yeah, as well.
Um,
I mean, I have lots of questions as an artist.
yeah.
Maybe we could start there. But I mean, I definitely want to go with the Bitcoin stuff in this space as well. So just
Yeah.
as a premise that we're going to go to that and get to like the scaling trust and the micropayment stuff. But before we go there, let's start with the music. So when we talked, I was like, one of your fans, and I met you and at the conference, right? So I'm thinking like, how did you do the track? How did you get so famous? How did it all happen? And you were telling me about the Paul Oakenfold stories, playing the track over and over and over again at the time. I mean, can you just take me back into how this all started with the as an
Yeah. I mean,
artist?
yes. To start, this is my very first time I've ever been on X Spaces. So I've been invited many times, but usually I refrain from coming to the discussions. But I'm very happy to be here and to say thank you for the invite. I started making music in early 90s, around 91, 92, in Portugal, where is my home country, and moved to the UK around 98, and made the track that most people know me for, Touch Me, in 1999, and it came out in 2001. The idea for the track came from me sitting in a DJ booth listening to Paul Oakenfold at a club in Leicester Square called Home. It doesn't exist anymore. And then walking down the Piccadilly Circus, I saw someone singing with a band on the street, and thought this would be the ideal person to sing on the record, and took her to the studio, and in a couple of days we made the track, and the rest is history. So for promotion, I sent a copy of the record to Oakenfold because I thought I wanted to a record for him to play, but with vocals, because he was playing a lot of trance, but there was no vocals. And he had a residency at Pasha in Ibiza at the time. This is 2001 when the record actually comes out in 2000. And when he received what was back in the day a test pressing, which was like a one or specimen copy on vinyl. He played that night 5 times in on the course of the night, and then kept playing it for the rest of the summer. People were coming back at the end of the summer, calling the radio station and asking for the track to be played. This was way before even the record got released. The record only got released the following January.
So Oakenfold caught onto it real early.
Yes, I made the track thinking of the music that I was playing, so it only made sense to give it to him.
And at that time, what Oakenfold was probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest names in music, wasn't he?
He was the one of the pioneers and champions of electronic music all around the world.
Yeah.
He was the very first superstar DJ going touring constantly around the world, going to places where there was no scene at all, and basically breaking ground and playing, be the first DJ to play in many of the countries that. But this is before, because the scene that exists now, because until I think until the album from Madonna that you were just mentioning before, in the US, the electronic music was a very, very underground scene. It wasn't as popular as it is now.
Yeah, it's funny because it was that album that like that made me find it. Confessions on the Dance Floor. Like, you're right. It was totally unknown to us here in the US, at least to us in the mainstream. I'd never even heard the sound before.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because that's an album that Madonna releases a few years later. When I've got a record label called Kismet Records, and we were doing a launch party for the label back in London in 2001 at a home club, and actually probably before that in 1999, and Madonna actually was there. Someone saw her in at our party, so maybe that's where she got inspired to do the Confessions on the Dance Floor.
Probably, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. So, I mean, when you make a track like that, so you said that you were just walking down the street and you found the singer, she was singing out of a club and you liked her voice and you're like, "Hey, would you like to make a record?"
Yeah, kind of. I was thinking like I wanted to make a song I could make a song for Oki to play in his gigs that would blow everybody's head off. But I did not know anyone in London to find a singer, and then I happened to walk down Piccadilly Circus, and I think the stars aligned, and I come across the exact moment that this girl that just popped out of a bar was singing with a band that was just busking on the street, and I took her number because I had like what do you call it, goosebumps of listening to her singing, and there was a massive crowd around the band. I did not know that. When I first saw her, I thought she was just busking, but then I realized that she was just coming out of a bar with a friend and decided to go and sing with the band. So,
That's super cool. So from there, it sounds like you've continued from when we talked in London. You told me that you're still passionate about music as an artist. I mean, and that's you've been staying in music, but like kind of behind the scenes a lot on things.
yeah,
What have you been up to?
yes, I've been helping a lot. I do a lot of ghost production, a lot of mixing, finishing records for up and coming and established DJs and artists. And I also release some material under my name as an artist. But I enjoy the work in the studio much more than the live performance. So that's where my main focus is.
Hmm. So who are some of your inspirations as an artist?
As an artist, I mean, my main inspiration has always been Prince. I think he's the all overall a really accomplished artist.
Prince. And what was it about him
Yeah,
that inspired you the most?
I think the fact that it was all about the music, and it was very kind of like mysterious, but just incredible performer, incredible musician, skilled musician with very interesting ideas. Um, just created a body of work that we still have not found the end of it. And there's more music unreleased than released from his work.
Oh, wow. So there's still music coming out that's not been played yet?
Yeah.
So whatever happened to Prince? Okay. Did I just lose audio? Testing, testing. Casey, can you hear Rui or is it me?
I only hear you at the moment.
Okay. Looks like Rui, we lost your audio there for a moment. You may want to. Sometimes with X, it has this funny little quirk. So if you lost audio, you could drop back down and then come back up as a speaker. That's what I would do, because I'm not hearing anything from Rui Da Silva. So, let me just set the stage again here where we're at. Like, he's just talking a little bit about like where he is as an artist and what inspired him and how Prince inspired him and like where this sound kind of came from. And it's super cool for me to actually talk to him because, yeah, and I'll request up again because, I mean, I hate to bring it back to me, but for me, like my favorite of all time is Ferry Corsten, and like he's like my favorite artist ever. And so like I've always wished I could do a space like this with Ferry at some point, and but it's kind of like Rui Da Silva is still a huge fan, of like his work, and so it's cool to hear his background of all this stuff. Now, if you press, I'm going to make you. There we go. Speaker.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back.
There we go.
I think it's my automatic. I think this was my automatic limits to stay off social media. I think it's very distracting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you're back up now, but you were talking about Prince. Whatever happened to Prince? Like, did you ever? I mean, what happened to that guy?
EP basically what happens to many. It seems to happen to many people that end up addicted to prescription drugs, and then the fatal cocktail of mixture of prescription drugs, and end up dying
Oh.
alone in the lift in his own mansion in Paisley Park.
Hmm.
He got found by one of his staff, I believe, in the following morning inside the lift.
Oh. Yeah, he was from like a small town in Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota, Minneapolis, or something like that. I
Minneapolis,
can't
yeah.
remember now. That's it. Yeah.
Super small town. Like the guy was like
Yeah.
super unexpected. Like I think that's where Bob Dylan was from. It was like a super small town,
Mm.
just obscure. And all of a sudden here he
Yeah.
is like mainstream. And he was like 4'11, I think. He was 4.
Yeah, I think he's very short. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little guy, but super powerful vocals.
Yeah.
And he inspired you to do, that's your number one all-time inspiration.
It is, yeah. I mean, there's many other ones along the line, but that's like my main inspiration. Yeah.
Nice. So what about the sound of like trance? How did you even hear about that sound to be inspired to make?
I mean, well, back in this is like we're talking about 90s. All this sound was new. You just started in the late 80s. Really start shaping, a bit inspired from what was called electro, and from Kraftwerk, and some of the Chicago sound that was coming out, and people were just exploring new sounds. So this was like the trend of that year, and it was just like it's not like now that we've got lots of history and sounds that have already been explored. Back then it was all almost like we were like explorers trying to discover where we could take out the sound, and trance was just another sound that came along the line around that time. Progressive, tribal, there was lots of sounds.
So was it like something you heard on the radio? I mean, there wasn't an internet back then, so where did you pick up on it?
No, I think the very early sounds was like maybe James Spoon back from it was coming out of Germany, and yeah, there's a lot of it was coming out of Germany, coming out of the area around Belgium, Netherlands, and also in the north of the UK.
Hmm. So did you go to a couple shows and you just thought, wow, that was.
I used to run a record label back in Portugal, and we used to do parties in all sorts of like unusual places, like castles and convents and all sorts of strange venues. And we were booking what was the DJs that we really looked up to, and some of them comments were playing that sound. So that's when we got introduced to all the trance sound.
So did you have I'm just thinking like back in those days, like it used to be like an electric. I mean, what did the rig look like that you would make the music on?
It was machines.
It was machines.
So it was all machines. Now it's all inside a computer, virtual machines, but it was basically machines. You had computer like drum sequencers to make the drums, sampler to kind of like morph into any sound because you could put any sound in it, and then synthesizers. So if you wanted to make some of our early productions sounded very minimal because we didn't have more machines to put more sounds in it. So we were kind of like limited to the machines that we could afford. So people like Daft Punk were doing the same. They had like 5 or 6 machines, so that's what they had 5 or 6 sounds in their tracks.
Oh yeah, Daft Punk. They were just, gosh, they were getting. Oh my gosh, that's right. All around the world, and that song that was around.
Yeah.
That was around like early 2000s, wasn't it? When was that?
Yeah, they started around the same time as we started. I started in the early 90s with a project called Underground Sound of Lisbon, and we were signed to Tribal America, which was a label out of New York, and Daft Punk was signed to Soma up in Scotland.
Did you ever meet Daft Punk before?
No, I've went to see one of their DJ shows way at the beginning before they were using helmets in Miami at one of the Winter Music conferences. But no, I've not crossed with them.
Well, can you share like any super cool stories that you've been able to be experienced like in your life as an artist that that you could share, like that was like maybe you met a star or you were at a show that was like, or you played with somebody, or or you made music with somebody that was like amazing. Do you have like any super inspiring moments in your career?
It's difficult to choose one moment. There've been really interesting moments. I remember one time in Montenegro having to go on a speedboat to disused Soviet Union nuclear bunker, and we were doing the party there. Basically, everybody came in on boats, and it was like probably about maybe 1,000 people in it. And there was like a massive tunnel into the mountain where the nuclear submarine used to be.
Wow. So you had to go
Yeah.
inside the mountain to the party.
No, we had like a little area outside, but you could actually go inside the mountain. But of course, there was a massive where the submarine would go was water, but there was like on both sides you could walk into the mountain. But the party was just outside it, and then the bar was actually a massive boat that they parked with all the drinks that you could go inside. It
Wow.
was pretty wild.
Mehl, I added you up there to the stage as well if you want to jump up as co-host. So dude, yeah, this is super fascinating, man. I mean, I love this sort of thing. I'd like to talk about the music forever, to be honest. I'm really into the music and the artists. I mean, I really like to hear about the music stories. I mean, I don't know if I'm just wondering, like, so this is the time that, I mean, so like, did you get introduced to the stuff that Tiesto and then Armin was doing? And then, I mean, did that get huge back at those days? I mean, I'm just like, what was it like at those times, like 2000 to 2003 era as Touch Me's out? Who was Paul Oakenfold was the top? Who else was on top?
I mean, it's Los Tiesto was playing the record. He put it on his Sunrise compilation. I can't remember the full name of the.
Search of Sunrise.
Yeah, that's it.
That's right.
I think it was one of the opening tracks. I think it was the opening track of one of his compilations, something like that. I can't recall now. And I mean, I think everybody plays and the record still gets played today. It's just now with technology enabling you to extract stems from masters. There's no week that goes by that I don't get 3 or 4 requests of people wanting to show me their remix and asking if I want to release it. I mean,
so it sounds like you produced it and you kept I guess did you keep the ownership rights of the track?
yes.
You did. And so what can you teach? What can we learn from you? It sounds like you did the right thing, because a lot of artists today, they don't do that. From my experience, they don't own the tracks and they sell it off to somebody else. Or, what can we learn from you going forward for owning that you decided to own your own music, own your own content? What can we learn from that going forward?
I mean, you should own your work. That's the bottom line. Today, there is no reason for you not to own your work. So that's my advice to anybody that is making music.
But it seems like there's a huge problem with like social media and like YouTube. You put your stuff on there and then you don't really own it, you know? So
Well,
how,
that's slightly different.
okay.
But yeah, there is a massive exploitation of intellectual property by these big social media companies that behave like communist countries almost. If you'd consider their social environment where everybody is equal, but the overlords make the money and we all work for free. We do hope that some of us might make money. So
Sounds like the world we live in.
it's exactly the world we live in.
So tell me about the like your okay, something inspired you to hear about Bitcoin, blockchain, and I'm just like trying to make the connection here. If it was like the
Yeah.
fact that you made some good
I mean,
decisions.
the first time I heard about Bitcoin, I was actually living in Ibiza. So I don't know exactly the year, but I know that I lived in Ibiza between 2008 and 2011. So it was one of I remember reading an article, and I was looking to see if I could actually run the software. And I think there was only software for Windows. And because I make music, I'm based on Macs. And it was around the time that people were saying that you can use graphics cards. I didn't have any graphics card because I had Macs, and they were talking about there was these machines called ASICs that were going to come out very soon. I remember reading that, but I was very busy with the gigs and having fun in Ibiza, so I didn't pay attention again to it until I think 2016, late 2016, when I was living back in England. And I came across a friend of mine that was told me about it, and that's when I decided to go and really look into it, and found a technology that I think it's just as a paradigm shift for the whole world.
So 2016, and your friend tells you to look at it again, and you're like, all right, let me look at this. What did you I'm just like, take me into like what you did to start exploring, because a lot of new people are going to hear this and they're going to be like, I want to do it. And they're going to do a Google search. Like, what was your
I mean,
path? What did you do?
I think around 2016, I tried to understand the technology, and of course, like most people, that then we kicked into 2017, where there was a massive spike on the price, and like many people first get interested in it, it's because they're looking at, oh, this thing has got a value and it might go up and it go down. So that was my interest at the time, and then I just abandoned that and decided to start looking into more what the technology could do, the possibilities, or what could bring to all sorts of industries, and became more interested in what the technology could do than the fact that it's a token that people trade to try to they buy cheaper and try to sell to someone else more expensive. So and then started. I think around 2019 came across Dr. Wright for the second time. The first time I dismissed it, but then again, I think in 2019, a friend of mine that is very close to me told me to have a second look at his work. And when I started reading his work, I realized that we're just facing a person that doesn't come often into the world, and he's got incredible work and incredible mind. And from there on, I've been following his work.
So 2019, you started reading it. Was it, what was it that you read that was like was there a penny drop moment? Like, I've heard different stories from different people, like, oh, the penny drop moment was this. Like, what was the was there
Was the know-how and the depth of understanding and knowledge of the technology started to to really make an impact. I remember watching a lot of lectures and reading a lot of long form articles that kind of like slowly made it click to me that yeah, this is the person who created this technology, and we're quite fortunate that he's still around and he's still teaching us what this can do.
Definitely. And it sounds like you're referring to Dr. Wright. So what
That's right.
yes, this is fascinating. So, this is around 2019. And now, I mean, had you already started buying Bitcoin? Like, I mean, what was your, did you have skin in the game?
No, actually, when I realized that it was him, I've decided to not buy any more tokens. Got rid of everything. So I don't really have any financial interest in it. I've got interest in the technology and the what the technology can bring into creating new business solutions to help trade around the world. So that's I decided that was the path that I've chose to take.
So, what vision did you see at that point, or like, what did you start to? How did you see that it could start to change the world? What was the?
I mean, because the world, I mean, civilization is based around trading between human beings. That's how we built our civilization, by trading between each other. And the world currently as one of the biggest problems that we have in the world is lack of accountability and transparency. And that pervades every single industry in every single aspect and allows people to get away with things, but also forces you, when you go into trade with another individual, not necessarily to align yourself with honesty, but align yourself with how much can I get away with it. And this is due to the fact that you know that you most likely you won't be caught. So that's how people come in their minds when they enter into a trade with someone else. Most people otherwise will be taken advantage of. And this public ledger that doesn't have any third party or centralized place that can be corrupted exists, enables the to create a world where people know that they need to come into a trade with another individual, and their incentive is to be honest.
Yeah, incentive is to be honest because of the track. Basically, because there's going to be a record of it on the chain.
Exactly. Exactly, and this can be in any industry. It can be in anything. It can be it can be baked into a computer program that you know exactly all the operations that were made inside a computer program, because there's a ledger with all the transactions. So, or it can be deployed into in my industry, in music, to make sure, for example, that when someone says that you had 1,000 streams, that it's exactly 1,000 streams. Because currently we still have to trust third parties that what they tell us is the truth.
That's where we're at now with most things.
Yeah, that's almost every single problem that we have in is it boils down to the fact that people don't have an incentive to be honest when they are trading.
No incentive. Well, yeah, because you're dealing with the. Well, you got to hire a lawyer. You got to go to court. You got to sue somebody. That's a slow process. I mean,
It's very slow, and you know that you probably won't be caught. I mean, you look at politicians; they keep breaking promises. Just in the UK, they said they would raise taxes, and now they're raising taxes, and people seem to forget these things. I mean, these days it's easier to there's still a record, but that record can be deleted. Like we see many times people deleting the things from the internet to try to change the narrative because it suits them in a different way. with a ledger like this, these things are not possible. So as you engage in trading with someone else, you know that you have to be honest, or if you get caught, then you will be exposed.
Yeah.
That is a massive, that's a gigantic change into the world.
It's a gigantic change. So I guess what is the, and what is the difference between, okay, so you obviously, you have a lot of knowledge on this, and it seems like there's a lot of confusion though, because there's all these different Bitcoins, and then there's all these different blockchains, and there's all these different cryptocurrencies. So can you, what is your opinion on,
I mean, when the internet started, I remember there was also a lot of companies that were trying. There was American Online, there was CompuServe, there's a bunch of other ones. And in the end, it all boiled down to the protocol that could scale. And that was more efficient for everyone. And that was TCP/IP, and that's what scaled. And at the moment, we're going to be facing the same situation.
so in comparison to the early days of the internet, there was a lot of companies that were trying to basically make a scalable internet, like intranet and these other companies
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah, there was many companies. Some of them end up being bought and sold for millions.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget that Warner, I think it was Warner that merged with American Online at the time. The American Online was going to be the internet.
Right.
And in the end, it was.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest trades, I think, during the .com ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all this value that is perceived today with all these tokens can quickly disappear. Probably even faster, because there's not really anything underneath it.
Yeah. I mean, really, so see, Rui, the problem is, I mean, it's really helpful that you talk about this, because most people are in the crypto and the Bitcoin space, from my experience, from meeting people in person, they have come in after 2018. And these are younger people. They weren't even born when that stuff was going on.
Yeah, but most people are just they've got almost like the spell of Lord of the Rings, where you touch the gold and they just can't see anything more past that. They can't see that these technologies, they could build solutions and products for businesses and for personal people that can bring more efficiency and better business. And nobody's building not many people are building products that's trying to find the products using the technology, because they all just think of being it a currency.
Number go up.
Yeah.
Think of it as a number go up. But it sounds like,
Well, that's all they think. That's all they think about. They don't think about so many other things. And I mean, you don't have to go too far. You just listen to what Dr. Wright speaks in many of his masterclasses. And if you are inclined to, if you're a creative person inclined to build things, you start thinking that is actually I can build something here with this. And it's the price of that the token is traded is irrelevant.
It's irrelevant because of the technology beneath it. It sounds like, right? That's the whole concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's irrelevant because it's not relevant how much the token is traded for you to create a solution for whatever problem you're looking at. I mean, if, for example, if you want to create, I don't know, for example, or with NFTs, if you wanted to create NFTs that are attached to physical products to prevent fake goods, merchandise to be sold, it's not too complicated to create a solution like that. There's not that many people are looking at that. They're more looking at how can I create something that I can buy cheaper and sell more expensive, take a profit and walk out.
Yeah, it seems like opportunity is huge right now. So what So have you been inspired to create any businesses or had any ideas that you're willing to share?
Yeah, I mean, I've been inspired to start learning how to code because I don't see anybody to not see that many people building interesting solutions, and I've been doing first steps and making some apps that you can run on the phone to just exploring and doing some research on my own.
Hmm. So it sounds like you're tinkering around with some ideas now.
Yes, yes, yes. I've been learning how to run some programs that are usually not the programs I run on my computer, and building some small solutions. And hopefully, eventually, I'll put some stuff out. Instead of a record, it'll be a program.
Hmm. So how would people benefit by that?
I mean, you need to think of a problem, and then from that problem, you need to think of the solution, and think would the how would the blockchain technology would help you to try to solve a problem that you identify. You know,
Mhm.
there's I mean, I've actually went to watch all the court case down in London because it's literally at my doorstep.
Oh, you
So
did?
I was, yeah, I was there every day.
What? You were there every day?
Yeah, I went.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went there. I mean, it was literally 15-minute walk from my house. So I went there and was listening because it was an opportunity to hear Dr. Wright speak. I mean, I've been to many of his master classes as well, and he was. It's just to. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but
Well,
it's just fascinating to hear him always giving you ideas for projects that you can create or to solve problems that exist in the world that have nothing to do with the number go up, but actually have got all to do with um, data integrity, auditability, accountability, and yeah, that's
so for those who aren't familiar, but I mean, there was a huge court case, maybe one of the biggest court cases of all time, that happened earlier the end of last year and then this year, where they were determining the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto. So it sounds like that was COPA versus Wright, and you were there in the courtroom every single day. I didn't even know that. You were
yeah.
just quietly in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go to all the when there was video calls, I watched from home.
Yeah,
But when Dr. Wright was there, yeah, I went
but when he was
to
there,
I went there to yeah, I went there
wow.
to listen to it. Yeah.
I mean, so was it like a master class? I mean, because some of the people online who don't understand, well, I mean, the judge, for example, I guess he doesn't understand Bitcoin. And he said that Dr. Wright was speaking in technobabble the whole time. And he didn't know what he was talking about. And it was nonsense. So what are your comments about that?
I don't think that he's qualified to understand what he was talking about.
Okay.
He might be qualified as a judge, but he's not qualified to understand technology. The fact that he uses a word like that is pretty revealing of his understanding of the technology that was being discussed.
Yeah. It seems like he used that word in his judgment. Like, I don't know. It was like, I don't know, it was 10 times. He used that word a lot. Whenever he didn't understand something, he said that Dr. Wright was talking in technobabble.
Yeah, I mean, that usually people use that word in a pejorative way, so I guess that's why he used it.
So, you were there, you were seeing it. What can you tell us about like being inside the courtroom and seeing him, seeing him talk in front of the judge in the courtroom? Was he very nervous? Was he very,
No, he was very relaxed, and I think he mentioned at the beginning that he is done some uh, therapy in regards to his anger management because due to his condition, Before, yes, he had at times in the past left his temper take the best of him, and then it would end up being detrimental to himself due to the complicated situations that sometimes he has to navigate. So I think he was very good in court.
Yeah, did he seem like he was upset at all or angry at all when he was there?
I think he's very passionate about the what he created. So he defends it until until the end of his life. He will be defending his creation.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about his theory? Like he used to have that Professor Faustus handle. I mean, did you ever look into that? Like what he might have meant by that?
No,
No.
I've not looked into that now.
No. I mean, so you're convinced it sounds like that he did create Bitcoin. There's no doubt about it.
And there's nobody else that has come forward with the depth of knowledge that he has. So I've got no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is going to happen in the court case? They got an appeal going right now. If you could make a prediction.
To the appeal, I think the appeal is going to be granted. Now, it's just a shame that we are wasting the resources of such a brilliant mind in pursuing such these court cases. It should be focused on much bigger things like scaling the technology. I mean, what people didn't realize is that what he released at the beginning was just almost like a prototype of what was actually the full release, which is what's now being built with Terranode and a few other things.
Yeah. So what do you know about Terranode and the scaling of the blockchain, right? Of the Bitcoin blockchain right now? What's going on with that?
Well, I know that I know what most people say. I spoke with them at the conference, and I know what most people know as well, which is they've run some tests where they had servers in different continents, and they are able to propagate the blocks very fast in between these servers. And I know that the approach that the approach for scaling that they have been pursuing is fascinating, because it's, in a way, it's almost applying Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations into computer science, where you split all the jobs that one program does into different smaller separated to different tasks, and then each one works on their own task, and then they come together to build what in the end is a block with transactions.
Mm-hmm. So it's like just the massive scaling of Bitcoin, the base layer. I mean,
yeah, because the first attempt from what I understand, because I remember being at the conference the previous year, they tried to scale it vertically, and it didn't really work, because you end up reaching all sorts of bandwidth limits, either by computer throughput or whatever. While if by coming with a novel way of breaking all the different tasks that is involved in creating a block into
oops, looks like we've got an audio. Is that on my end? Casey Mehl, am I the only one that doesn't hear him?
No, we lost him. I lost him too, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rui, if you want to just possibly drop back down and come back up. Wait, try it now. Nope. Wait, Rui, there we go. We got you.
I think he keeps giving me alarms and stuff, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
If you
switches
get a
things
phone
off.
call, that will start. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, alarms or phone calls for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were.
I don't think you can run Spaces on a computer. It has to be on a phone.
Well, I'm on my computer on mine, but it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
I've
had.
never been to, I've never done the Spaces, so I've got no idea.
it's
So I'm on a phone.
definitely. Yeah, it took me a lot of testing to get mine done. I had like 10 tests before I was able to get my microphone working again, but it works now. So, but yeah, so back to scaling big. I mean, okay, you're not holding the Bitcoin, you're not holding the coins, but you're really passionate about building something like that, people solving a real world problem. Okay, that is
Yeah.
like that's like the final frontier. It sounds like. I mean, this is like such a special technology, but it seems like people are missing that. At least not many. Most people are. I mean, what sort of inspiration can you give people about?
I mean, that means that there's a lot of opportunity for building really interesting businesses because nobody's looking. So
Yeah,
those that actually put the work will collect the rewards.
yeah. And it was, I mean, back in the
Abs-
early days of the internet, like you'd figure it was what, 90, 93, 94 when they started launching that stuff. And then it was what, 2001 or two that America Online deal happened and the bubble finally popped right around then. So it took like what, 9, 10 years before they had evolved on this thing. I mean, I asked Jack Pitts the same question, but where do you think we are in the way of the crypto bubble, that crowd versus like the actual base layer technology evolving?
I mean, we definitely need the scaling completed, which has been much slower because these court cases actually delay all the focus on developing the technology, and then we need a lot of there's a lot of effort by great people building all sorts of libraries and tools to help then the programmers to create applications that can be used in business or in commerce.
Yeah. So what do you think are some of the, I mean, do you think there's any big ideas that are happening right now in the space that could change everything?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that need the solutions. There's lots of problems that need solutions that they're not here. And microtransactions will help bring a lot of those solutions. I mean, just the money that businesses lose from not having the integrity on their data, for example, is quite large, and someone that comes with solutions to solve that problem might be able to create an interesting business. The same with security and the breaking in of IT systems. It's the same thing. There's a lot of people already trying to come with solutions to be able to discover quicker when there's been a breach than we have now. Whoever comes with a solution like that might be able to create an interesting business. I mean, there's now you got with AI and generation of images by AI. We have a tremendous issue of knowing if the photography we're looking at is actually genuine and is actually from when it is. And whoever creates a solution for that also creates an interesting business.
Yeah, I'll say so. Basically, like kind of like a way to verify if the image is legit. I guess if it was made by the creator, authenticate the image.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to another podcast just yesterday, and they were saying that's where we're heading. There was a business podcast. They're actually not aware of this technology, but they were saying that images will have to come to already with a certificate of authenticity.
Yeah, I mean,
which they declare when the date that they were taking the photograph, the machine, the location, all the data. It's interesting because a lot of the court case against Dr. Wright from COPA is actually based on the fact that all the metadata that exists, and there's no guarantee that those documents are actually genuine. That's what they argued.
yeah, that
And this technology actually helps making it closer to truth that the document is genuine.
so like, for example, if Dr. Wright had put the white paper on the Bitcoin blockchain, I guess originally, then he could have verified that it was there.
Kind of. It's not. You don't really put if there was a solution that enables you to hash the original document, put it on a blockchain attached with an NFT or something like that, and then you could see the trail of the document moving
Yeah.
across time, and you could trace it back to the original one. Yeah, probably you would be more secure that actually it was genuine.
Well, yeah, like right now, we would love to be able to get a court. We would love to be able to get authenticate documents in a court case or in a artwork from somebody that they make it, and actually decide if it was made by that person or not. Because that seems to be a big problem with all the large language models. They'll just make up anything, and it could be a copy. It seems like that's a huge problem to solve.
I mean, they basically it's again tremendous abuse of intellectual property by Silicon Valley. So
Yeah.
it's not the first time. YouTube was built like that.
Oh. Well, that's just the way things are done in Silicon Valley. That's how it works.
I mean, that's how Hollywood started. So
Yeah.
There's nothing new. I mean, the reason why Hollywood is in the other side of the United States is because they didn't want to pay the Lumiere brothers the licensing fees for the moving pictures. So by the time that the law enforcement arrived in LA back in those years, the industry was so large that they couldn't shut it down.
Wow. So there was licensing. So back in the days of Hollywood, there was some sort of a patent perfection of the.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there was the moving pictures was patented to the Lumiere brothers.
Oh, wow, that's news. The Lumiere brothers actually had the patents on that.
Yeah.
And so then by the time they tried to enforce the patents, they couldn't, or what happened?
Well, the only way that they could create movies and not pay the licensing fees was to build an industry on the other side of the continent. It was in those days you wouldn't get there that quick.
Oh, you're saying these guys were in Europe.
No, these guys were in New York.
Oh, got it.
As far as I'm aware, and they were Hollywood was building on the other side of the US.
So at that time, they figured that's how they get away from it, by building it on the other side of the continent. Yeah. Nice.
That's in a way, that's what they're trying to do with BTC now. They're trying to make it so large that you can't shut it down.
Too big to fail. So
yeah,
I mean,
unfortunately, it doesn't scale. So
what are your thoughts about them trying to scale it now? I went to some conferences here in Silicon Valley, and they said they wanted to do OpCat, and they wanted to increase they're lobbying to increase the block size, and they're going to scale. And a lot of people, they actually talk about it past tense. And I just want to be clear that this is not a past tense thing, so this is a hopeful thing. So I want to be clear on the record that it is these are ideas that people have, and they've got what are called test nets right now to do it. So what are your thoughts about that on the
Well, I think BTC is a mediocre implementation of Bitcoin, so
It is
it's
what?
not, you won't be able, it's a mediocre implementation of a protocol, so it's not going to be able to compete with an implementation that is can scale and it's much more efficient.
What about this network effect thing though? Because they got some big famous people they even got one of the guys from the Chicago Bulls talking about it right now. He was saying that the number was going to go up. So, I mean, what about that? Do you think that's got lasting effect for them on the BTC side?
I don't know. I'm not interested in it as an investment instrument. I'm interested in the technology to be able to create solutions for businesses.
Okay, that's a fair
So,
assessment. You
yeah,
yeah, you've made it clear that you're not an investor in the coin. So you're actually here to change the world in the way of the technology, or to help build solutions.
yeah.
I mean, it's a big step. I mean, are you full time on that right now, or your music part time? I mean, how committed are you to that?
No, I'm splitting times between both things. Eventually, I'd like to find someone to come on board with the BSV side of things to develop them further. But no, I've been splitting time between both things.
What would it require for you? Like, what type of skills would someone need, or to be able to help you, in case anybody is listening?
I think having the same vision, basically, and not being under the spell of the ring.
Well, why don't we, can I open up for Brett? I see Brett's in the crowd too. Maybe we can open up for any questions or comments. I got Mila and Casey on stage as well. So why don't we start with you guys? Mila, you're unmuted. So do you have any comments or questions for Rui?
No questions. It's very interesting and yeah, very interesting to hear some of the things.
Did you meet?
Actually,
Did you meet?
And me too. I agree that I also felt, particularly there in the beginning of the court case, that Craig Wright was presenting to anyone who paid attention that here's the one who knows more than anybody, and that he by that was proving a lot and making a lot of things clear. So that's what you reminded me of. Yeah, I have been saying that. Yeah, very nice to just hear everything you were saying. Interesting, all of it. And I agree.
Okay, looks like we got somebody. Who did I just add? Is it John? And yeah, John. John Holger.
Speaker is on.
Looks
You
like we
sound
got an
muffled.
audio connection there issue with you, John. So let's come back to you. Can you mute him, Casey, please? Okay.
Muted.
Okay, great. Yeah. So who else BSV Panama. Yeah, he's up as well. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, thank you. Hi, everybody, and I'm doing well. Thank you for for this space and for inviting Rui Da Silva. It's so refreshing and so good to hear someone talk like Rui is talking, because he's just cutting through all the BS that is being spread, around everything else that should increase and should be good and could be this and could be that, and is seeing the right path. And this is invaluable. Thank you for this. Thank you, Rui. Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, he's just telling it like it is, which is super refreshing, especially a guy coming from such a music, an artistic background. And he hasn't been, this is the first time he's ever been on a space like this ever. So it's cool that I feel honored to have him here and be able to host him. It's really great, so, thank you. Casey, anything you want to add to it? Comments, questions?
I'm just really enjoying the conversation. I'm checking out at the grocery store right now. So, yeah, keep going. It's wonderful. Love to hear what Brett thinks. I invited him up, but
Okay, you invited Brett. Yeah. So, Rui, it seems like you're really laser focused. There's no question in your mind about this technology thing, about how there's nothing that compares, and it doesn't really matter what some other chain says they want to do or hope to do, or they are they they have ideas to do. It sounds like you're saying that it's already been done, and now, like, I don't know, just I don't know. I'm just trying to like play both sides here. So what can you tell us about your conviction?
Well, I want to go to one of the hackathons for sure. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. The one last, I think one of the last ones that you made, or you were involved in. I think it was back in May, something like that.
Yeah, March.
And yeah, March. That's it. Unfortunately, I was at a different conference in Miami, I think, at the time.
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
But
Yeah, go ahead. I'll comment on
I
that.
want to attend to that because I think that's where there's some interesting ideas, and it would be
Yeah,
good to
I just need
cross paths with more people. I enjoyed very much the conference in London. For me, the best was the beginning. Before the conference, there was a mini conference for developers, and that's where I enjoyed the most.
Nice. Yeah, we just need the right inspiration. I just need the right inspiration to get this hackathon done. I mean, and the right, it seems like it all could happen. But I've actually been talking to a couple of people right now on putting it together, but just need the right inspiration to like seal the deal and make it all happen. So, and we could totally make it happen again, do a good one. So, why don't we go over to you, Brett?
Maybe
Go
the
ahead.
one in Ibiza.
Ibiza. Yeah. Well, Mehl used to live in Ibiza. I wonder if it was the same time, Mehl, that he was there. He said it was 2008 and 2011. Was that the time you were?
Yeah, I was there. I was there from 2004 until midsummer 2011.
So you were living there at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which part were you living in?
Well, I was living close to Calelonga.
Oh, okay. I was my village was San Juan.
Oh yeah.
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 Nice.
Brett,
It gets very intense there.
super intense sun out there, right? She said that she had to have an umbrella. They call them parasols.
Well, I think the most intense was the sun at night. That was very intense.
At night?
Yeah.
Can
It
be, can be.
Yeah.
Every summer can be a bit different.
Wow.
But yeah. Usually there is one really hot month.
Yeah.
But no, the parasol thing just happened. It was not out of need. It just happened. It just kind of happened and fit right in.
Okay, let's go over to Brett. Brett C. Banify, you're up on stage, buddy. How you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on,
Yeah,
Gavin.
you're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to touch on the concept of, the public and private interplay. So it's obviously a public blockchain, but the things that, from observing your posts, how do I pronounce your first name? Is it Roy?
Rui.
Sorry, say it again.
Rui.
Hoy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that privacy is really important to you. And it's the ability to have privacy as a fundamental feature of the blockchain that doesn't devolve into anonymity. So, we can preserve privacy in a way that supports, anti-censorship of information and all of these things. To me, these seem like really important ideals to you. And yeah, I guess I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, the interplay between, the ability to preserve the privacy while at the same time leveraging the features of the blockchain being public when it's necessary for that information to be public.
I mean, it's shielded in the white paper. It's explained the privacy is shielded from everyone. So it's not anonymous, but it's private.
Yeah, and maybe can I hear your thoughts also on why privacy is important? I mean, I think we all understand why it's important, but I'd love to hear it in your own words, in terms of especially around the context of there's been a lot of talk recently in the news about censorship of information and, certain information that maybe the government doesn't want that being shared, that ends up getting less reach, et cetera. And, how this is plays into the idea of the importance of censorship and what that means to the world at large.
Yeah, let me comment on
I
that
mean,
before you do that. So just we had there was what happened was is that the chair in Congress, Jim Jordan, he got a letter from Mark Zuckerberg, and then he published. Jim Jordan is the chair of over one of these committees in Congress in the United States that is investigating the censorship in 2020, 2011, 2001, 2021. And so he got a letter from Mark Zuckerberg that admitted that he censored certain information under threat and intimidation from certain agencies, three-letter agencies from the United States government. And that letter was published. And so apparently that looks like it was a genuine letter. It was from Jim Jordan that he got it. So it's from a good source. And yeah, that they've admitted now that there was some serious censoring going on. And that was on Facebook. But then the other one was here on this platform. So yeah, over to you. And I was saying your name completely like a guy from California as Rui. It's not that, it's Rui. Rui Da Silva.
Rui. It's very difficult for people to say my name, but yeah. So even I sometimes say Rui instead of Rui.
Yeah, so it sounds like
But
Brett.
no, I think privacy is fundamental for business, and it's fundamental for individuals to be able to express their views without the fear of being heavy-handed by their own government. And I think it's a vital pillar of a society to be for an individual to be able to have his own privacy. We don't have privacy currently in a model that we have on internet of the internet. That we arrived at this model because nobody had invented the microtransactions, and it was not. I don't believe it was a master plan from these companies, but a need of trying to monetize and try to return value to their investors when the first businesses start showing up on the internet. But now it's time to change, and of course, these large companies don't want to change.
They definitely don't want to change. Seems like there's even a company that was created called Block the whole stream from happening. So Brett, back to you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I guess, follow-up question is, do you think that there is, Justin, this might be a crude metaphor or something like this, but, like when you're a young kid, maybe you're like 5 or 6 years old, you are getting dropped off at kindergarten for the first time, and you cling to mother's leg, you don't want to, you don't want to be put into the wild. You prefer at this young age, this impressionable age, the security that you get from a parental figure that can make all your decisions for you, tell you, yes, do this, no, do not do that. And do you think that this emergence into a world that enables more privacy at a fundamental layer, that in a way this is our own maturing as a society to the point where we're willing to, step away from, the leg of our mother or the decisions of the state and really take more accountability into our own actions as a free people?
Yeah, I think this technology is gonna make each individual in the world really change the way that they behave towards others in all sorts of situations, because you know that you would have to be honest, or you're going to be revealed. So that will be definitely a next step in the evolution of our society. But we are a really early stage. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done for us to arrive at a world where people have the incentive to be honest.
Yeah, and then maybe just a follow-up question about your own project and what you're putting your time and effort and energy into. When we met in London, it was great to meet you, and I enjoyed our time at the sessions that we did at London Blockchain Conference. But yeah, you were talking to me about working on an application for mobile devices. Just wanted to maybe get some follow-up on that. How's it been going? Have you run into any challenges? And what are the ways that you're working through? Because I think you're teaching yourself all of those skills, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm teaching all the skills myself, and yeah, I've been encountering a lot of interesting problems to develop a simple application. First, I wanted to have a full-fledged application, then I had to break it down into smaller applications, do these test these as standing alone applications, and now I'm in the process of putting it all back together again as Lego pieces, and discovering that there is a lot of small issues going on. And as self-taught computer or software developer, it's sometimes it can be really frustrating, but it's moving forward. Now I've already got a list of things that then I can reuse the code to other sorts of applications. So it's been a fascinating journey, and hopefully I'll be able to have something and release it for the world to enjoy.
Great. And then I wanted to comment too about just your history as obviously a DJ, electronic musician, and artist. For me, peer networks really trace themselves back to me to my love of music and to my sharing of that love. What was maybe the experience that you had with file sharing, peer sharing? Did it go back to your love of music? And when those first questions about artists, obviously getting paid for their work versus things being shared freely, did you go through any I guess periods of your own discovery where you were learning about how you feel about those specific topics, and what did you eventually arrive on?
Well, when I started in the music back in the early 90s, was way before it's pre-internet. I was learning about the business, and I created some music, and then I decided I wanted to put it out. So I needed to press some vinyl. So I called a pressing plant and I asked them to make 1,000 copies. And then I went to collect 1,000 copies and sold 1,000 copies. And straight away there in that moment, I realized, how do I know that they made 1,000 or they made 2,000? And that question still exists today in a world that we are on streaming. I need to trust someone else. So this
Yeah,
technology that we've created, I mean, selling vinyl or doing streams or downloads or whatever you want in any sort of industry, that problem is not just a problem that I have. A company like Prada has the same problem with the merchandise they sell. Everybody's got the same problem, and nobody has come with a solution before, because there was not this technology has not been invented, and now that it's invented, people should be all scrambling to bring solutions to these problems, because these problems are all around in all the industries.
Are you saying
In manufacturing of medication, being manufacturing of car parts, being streams, you always have to trust a third party. And now, for the first time in our civilization, we actually don't need to trust third parties. We can use the power of the blockchain that Dr. Wright has created to not have to have a third party to trust, but and that will create a much better society.
So are you saying that back in the day that you have to actually take the record and then, or go to the contact the producer and then say, I want to press X amount of records for my song. And then you would sell that record, but you never knew how many they made. Is that actually how it worked?
Yeah, you have to trust. That I was I was in my early 20s, and my question was straight away, how do I know that you sell that you? I didn't ask them, but I thought, well, I need to trust these guys that they are not pressing 2,000 and selling the other 1,000 themselves. And that is a question that has existed for a long time in the world in terms of you having to trust a third party for whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and your answer is really insightful because to me it brings around this idea of the cost. So there's, even if you are going to even if you're the record company that is wanting to deceive your customer and to press some of their own records without them knowing, there's a cost associated with that. And then when a person purchases the record that, the artist isn't getting paid or credit for, there is a cost associated with that. It might be a smaller cost than what they make from it. That's why they do it, because they're economically incentivized to be deceptive. But
Yeah.
from your answer, I'm getting the sense that it's actually part of this grand scheme and this grand plan to make it cheaper to pay the artist correctly for their music than it is to scam them, because the cost that associated with scamming, with the ability for thousands of a penny, et cetera, you can actually do things legitimately for cheaper than it costs to do them dishonestly.
I mean, currently it's a black box that you don't see the transactions of if I go and listen to someone on a streaming platform, and the money arrives on the other end. It's a black box that we don't see. We have if with this technology being implemented, eventually someone will step in with a streaming platform that it's much more transparent, will force everybody else to actually do the same thing. So I think there is this train is not going to stop, and it will end up in all sorts of businesses will have to adopt this technology for transparency.
Yeah, it makes full sense, because right now there's just so much importance and emphasis on data analytics, but the data analytics of the actual microtransaction that makes the purchase of the, directly from the fan to the artist. I mean, that's the pure analytic, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you've basically to talk about data analytics. I mean, you as a manager of any business will have to make decisions based on the data that you see in front of you. And if you cannot be sure that the data that you have is got data integrity and it's not been modified either by human error or by maliciousness along the line from its inception until it's in front of the manager to make a decision, you are making decisions to your own business that can cost you the actual business. So
Yeah,
being able to implement a system that is super cheap, that will save you thousands of pounds of wrong decisions, it's a no-brainer for people that the business will end up adopting all these business solutions that will end up coming to the market.
yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And even Spotify, like you said, you trust Spotify to tell you how many times that your music is being played and what percentage of the royalties they owe you, et cetera. And if that, and that's really a problem, because you can't make decisions based on accurate information, you're getting the secondhand information, and that information could be compromised, and it might not even be compromised by the people that you're in touch with at Spotify. There might be people in between that layer that you're not aware of, whereas the ability to see it on a public chain gives you the honest and accurate information. I love that analysis.
I mean, data travels between systems, machines, people, companies, and we need. There's a tremendous need to make sure that data keeps its integrity, and the blockchain can bring that solution without us having to trust a third party.
Yeah, I want to just use this one metaphor and then I'll drop down, but it's almost like we've been living our whole lives. Like, imagine we're behind the wheel of an automobile and we're just sitting there with our eyes closed and we're just steering based on the things that we hear on the road, we've gotten really good at listening. So we're making our way down the road, but also, the model that you're describing is like we're opening our eyes and we're saying, oh, wow, there's this whole other, facet, to the point where maybe 20 years from now, artists will look back at, the way that things used to be and just say, that's ridiculous. That's as crazy as driving down the road with your eyes closed and listening for traffic.
That's a good analogy. I mean, that's kind of the analogy of our current music system now, and these even content creator platforms. John Holger, your hand is up, buddy. Over to you, my man. How you doing? Mehl, are you hearing John? I'm not hearing him.
I don't hear anything.
Okay. Nope.
Are you there, Holger?
John Holger. Nope. Nobody, no sound on his end. So let's come back to him. Yeah. If anybody else has any comments or questions, go ahead and feel free to, I see Satoshi, I see Hector in the audience. If any of you guys want to jump up on stage, just make a comment or question. We got Rui Da Silva up from #1 hits to blockchain bits. And if you weren't here in the beginning, we did talk about all the music stuff and the fascinating stories about the music days. I mean, from the 90s and 2000s when Paul Oakenfold first broke the record, and then all of a sudden it just became a global phenomenon. Tiesto had it on A Search of Sunrise, and then everybody heard it. I mean, it was a #1 hit. So I mean, but it's funny, Rui, you actually still to this day, you I guess we all can be learning and inspired by you, because you actually did a good job at owning your own data. You owned your record. you owned that sucker. And somehow you were able to protect it and keep it getting in the hands of Big Brother or anybody else. I'm sure you had lots of offers that you could have sold it out, but you didn't, so Satoshi, you're up on stage, buddy. We got Rui Da Silva up with us. Any comments or questions that you'd like to chime in on?
Yeah. Sorry, I was late, mate. I've been on the phone for the last hour, and then saw that your spaces were on. I was just like, oh shit, need to jump on that. Yeah, Rui has also created an app, that allows you to check the credibility of any document, any pictures that you take, with the hash number, on chain to prove the document is legitimate. So yeah, what he's done is awesome.
Sounds like, yeah, he's an entrepreneur now in the space, and he's really building, trying to solve these problems. We talked a lot about that. I mean, it sounds like you guys, him. You guys have met in person.
Yeah. We met at the blockchain conference in London. Same when we met you. Okay,
cool. Rui, you remember Satoshi then? You know.
Of course I remember.
Yeah, I even pitched him to stay at his place while the conference was on. I was like, oh, you know what, I'll try my luck. I was like, oh, maybe I can stay with Rui. Maybe I can stay with Rui Da Silva while the conference is on, get some free accommodation.
He said he went to the Craig Wright trial every day when Wright was testifying. He was in the courtroom too.
Yeah. Well, I went to see Craig and just sort of wished him well, but I didn't fancy staying in the courtroom because I knew I'd get it all on camera anyway. And I like the idea of just being able to get up and make a coffee whenever I want and get some food.
Yeah, Rui was there. He said that in person, he said that Craig was not nervous and he wasn't upset. He was very, he was very commenting. And we talked earlier about also how, the court said that Craig was talking in technobabble and he made 0 sense to the court. But sounds like that was the prevalent word in the judgment. And Rui said just the opposite, that it was not technobabble, that it was meritorious, that, Craig knew exactly what he was talking about. I mean,
yeah. Personally, I thought Craig actually handled himself exceptionally well in that court case. He was clear, he was coherent, he was like, succinct in what he was saying. And in fact, if you ask me, I actually think it was probably the judge and the cross-examining lawyers that actually held him back, because they were just like, whoa, hold on, we don't actually want you to explain that. Like when they said to him, do you have any cryptographic proof that you're Satoshi Nakamoto? And Craig's reply was, not cryptographic. But he's got other proof. And they were just like, okay, right, okay, we'll end the session now. They were just literally just not letting him speak, basically.
yeah.
And then when he did speak, accusing him of coming out with technobabble, which is just BS,
That was the first time that word was ever used, I heard, in a court case. That was a new word in the law.
Well, I think Alex, I can't remember who it was. Somebody had pointed out that the word technobabble, I think the word technobabble was first used. I think it was something like 2001.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. It was just a reference that Alex had sent me, and I was just like, oh, that's interesting. So it's still a relatively recent term, well, sort of 20 years old, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, so anything that you wanted to ask Rui? It's actually not Rui, it's Hui with an H. Rui Da Silva.
No, with the S. Rui.
Hui.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, got it. Oh, well, I probably missed most of the presentation, but the app that you've created, is that available for anybody to download?
No, it's not. That's part of a group of apps that I'm working on, but that's not available yet. So it's on my phone.
Will it be available soon, or at some point? Do you think?
At some point, yeah.
What problem does it solve?
Authenticity of proof of the existence of a document at a certain time.
Okay, so yeah, if I want to say this is my document, that's my signature, I can put it on the blockchain.
Yeah.
I said this is a picture of me and Satoshi right here. That's really him right there. He's an actual real guy, and I can put that on the blockchain, and people say that's him. Yep.
But technically, you don't put it. You put his the proof, the digital stamp.
Yeah. So there would be a picture that we would take of ours, but then the program file that would be created by that picture would then be verified by the hash on the blockchain. So you could timestamp and verify that picture was genuine through Rui's app.
Yeah, seems like that would have sure helped Craig Wright a lot out in his court case.
Massively. Yeah, in fact, that's exactly what it's used for. Yeah, that's exactly what the app is for.
I mean, it can be very useful for academics and researchers to take pictures of their handwritten notes.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, loads of use cases for it.
I mean, I absolutely. Any of the original notes that you've done, I've done, or ideas like, look, this is mine. And that way there's no, I guess it would date stamp it. So you got a date of when you wrote something.
Yeah, date and timestamp, yeah.
And that way this is an original work. Therefore, that's a good point. Like this is an original work right here, and that's the date it was uploaded, and I got proof. So if somebody later says that, oh no, I made this later, then there's actual public proof on the public blockchain. And we were trying to get to the bottom of this earlier, Satoshi, when you weren't here, but I mean, just for people who are listening to this stuff for the first time, like, why can't they just use one of the other why not just use a different blockchain, or maybe like, you know, one of these cryptos that are out there? What's the difference? I mean, it's just so confusing.
Well, the difference is the only way that you can secure data is with the original Bitcoin protocol that Craig designed. It's the only way you can secure data, because the data needs to be on a globally distributed, economically competitive server network where the users are accountable and responsible for how they use the network, not those who maintain it. So the miners just simply compete with one another, and they compete to find SHA-256 and, you know, process transactions and put them on chain. But the chain of signatures makes the users of the network accountable, you know, for themselves, which means the miners can't be held responsible for anything, and therefore you've got no excuse to tell the miners to shut themselves off or hold them accountable for how the network is used. So literally the only way you can actually secure data by putting your data on a network that doesn't have any central point of authority or control is by putting it on the BSV network. That's literally it. That's why you should use BSV. It's the only way to protect your data.
Looks like BSV Panama's got his hand up. I believe you're up on stage with us, buddy. How you doing?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. I just had a question for Rui, if it's possible to answer it. I don't know. I don't want to try to go, you know, try to get information that is not yet divulged and talked about. But I was thinking of while listening to your comments about your app. I was thinking you're probably aware of the solution that Unisat has been already providing since quite some time about documents on chain and certifying documents on chain. And if you can point out the difference that can be found in your future application from that solution, if it's possible. If not, it's okay.
Rui Da Silva.
I didn't catch what you. I'm aware of several solutions that develop the same kind of idea, but I didn't really catch the name of the one that.
Yeah, there's
said.
one that's called Unisat. I think they're from Europe somewhere, but the founder is, what's his name?
Norway. It's
Norway.
Stefan
Nielsen.
That's right. Yeah, Stefan from Norway. Unisat.
Yeah, it's part of Unisat, and on top of certifying products, they also certify documents.
Oh yeah,
and I just wanted to know if you were aware of that and how it can play. Maybe it's something that you are developing that is bringing another aspect.
I remember when I watched the Unisat, well, I haven't been to all the presentations, but from what I've seen is that they're really focused on the food industry, and they want to authenticate the food for, you know, whether it's organic or whether it's you know, from who actually grew the food, to make sure that it's the source where it came from. That was supply chain. That's it. Supply chain. I don't know. Have you heard of that, Rui?
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I've not looked into their work.
Okay.
I mean, the space is so vast. I think that there's a lot of room for many people to try to bring solutions to specific industries.
Definitely.
I mean, I was thinking if I have to move a piece of food from the origin to the consumer is no different than to move a vinyl record from the manufacturing to the consumer. And if I don't do vinyl releases anymore, but if I did, there was no way I would do a vinyl release without every single vinyl that I press to be attached to an NFT to make sure that people who buy it, they know that they're buying an original and not bootleg.
A bootleg.
Hui,
Nice.
I will DM you the specific information so you can look it up.
I haven't heard
Okay.
the word bootleg in a long time. That is a cool one.
But that's the reality. I mean, you
Bootleg.
if you do merchandise that is authentic and is the target of a lot of fakes, you need a certificate of authenticity, and companies go to crazy ideas to try to prevent fake goods to come into the market, and it's very easy to prevent it by having by issuing NFTs that are connected to the actual goods.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember going to one of the first times I went to New York City and I wanted to get a Rolex watch and I found this guy on the street selling one really cheap and it looked super, super good. So I bought it. It turned my wrist all green, but it looked super cool for a while. I couldn't find out if it was real or not, but it's
I don't think the real one puts your wrist green.
Oh, that's it. Okay. I was all yeah. Yeah, it's definitely
But it's a serious problem for high fashion brands, where they sometimes even make parts of their items in different factories and then assemble in a third factory to try to prevent the fake goods to come into the market. Which
yeah.
if you have a solution that you as a high fashion brand create 1,000 women bags, you create 1,000 NFTs that are connected to the bags, even if the factory does 2,000. The other 1,000 extra don't have an NFT, have zero value in terms of the sale, because the problem of selling fake goods is not the illegal guy on the street, is actually the shop selling the shops from the brands to actually sell fake goods.
Yeah.
Hui, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interject. I just tried to send you a DM and I doesn't go through. So I will
Really?
send you. I will put it in your. I will put it under the space thing so
Okay.
that you can look it up. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, so we talked a lot today, man, about the history here with how Rui Da Silva found the Bitcoin blockchain from his old days in music, from the days of music, and now he's still doing music today. Went to the went and watched Craig Wright in the courtroom there in person. Did he know you were there? Did you meet him, or were you just a fly on the wall? Like,
I've been to his master classes before, and he was not allowed to speak with anyone, so I just spoke with him briefly one time. I actually witnessed another trap they'd set up towards him, where there was an article that got brought up in court saying that he was talking to the press, which was a blatant lie, because I was actually watched the interaction between some casual person that was passing and asking him, "How's it going? How's the court case going?" And he said, "Oh, thank you. Actually, it's going better than I thought." It was like he was relaxed, but he was being polite to someone. And then the next day, or actually, this was on a Friday, on Monday, there was an article published that Dr. Wright was talking to the press
yeah,
outside the courtroom, and that was basically a trap that they set up onto him.
yeah. Then he got scolded in the courtroom by the judge.
Yeah, but that was literally, he was just being polite. He was just coming out of the toilet.
And you were there.
He was just being polite. I was there, I watched that interaction, and then I watched the complaining or in court from the lawyers, and I thought, they just set him up. They're trying to set him up as much as they can. That was total setup.
Wow. Who was it that set him up? Was it one of the
Some kid that was wandering around there and was trying was just he was being friendly to the person. I was saying, oh, the person was being very nice to him, but actually was a sheep disguised with a wolf disguised with sheepskin.
It's one of the laser eyes.
Most likely.
What is the whole theory behind this laser eyes? Does anybody know like why they have the laser eyes on their profiles? Maybe
Because
Satoshi.
they can't see very well.
What's that?
They can't see very well.
They can't see very well. I mean,
No.
that's probably it. Satoshi, why do they have the laser eyes?
Oh, I can't remember what it was. It started off as a meme once. I think it's something to do with like being a superhero or something like that, being able to see the future. So they started putting lasers in their eyes and all that, but then it eventually got turned into a meme by people like in the BSV who just calling them sheep, like any coin tard that wants to identify themselves, just put lasers in your eyes. But it was I can't remember who it was. It was it was either someone like Michael Saylor, someone with standing like that, just decided to put lasers in their eyes, and just all the BTC maxis just followed suit.
Yeah, it seems like yeah, it's a really popular meme at this point. A lot of people are doing it.
Yeah, I'll have to try and get to the bottom of it actually, because that could do with being added to a little bit of Bitcoin history.
Yeah, it actually is an interesting point. Why do they do the laser eyes? Who started that? What does it mean? Another one.
Yeah.
This is rather unpopular, but I've seen a feed now where one of the guys on this is All Heart 08. He's in the crowd right now, and he said he was doing a feed about potentially doing a space about the Bitcoin tickers. I went to the way the B is slanted. I went to a conference in Silicon Valley last week, and a BTC investor, this is an early BTC investor, and he invests in BTC now. He was wearing a sweatshirt that had the BSV B on it. That's what it was, straight up and down the gold. It was straight that way. I don't even think he knew it. So have you ever noticed, has anybody, Rui, have you ever noticed that, or Satoshi, you guys ever noticed how the B's are different on the Bitcoins? You got one to the left, that's big.
Yeah, one is straight and the other one is sideways.
Yeah.
Like slanted.
Yeah, but, and is there any history on that, Satoshi? Why did they do that?
Yeah. So all it was just Craig initially designed a gold coin with the letters BC in the middle of it. He then updated it to the letter B with the two lines running through it. And then later on in February, I think it was maybe 2011, I think it was, there was just somebody else in the in the Bitcoin community at the time just said, how about this? And they just came up with the bright orange color because it was more striking, with a completely white B in it. And then just tilted it 45 degrees to the right, just to get people's attention. Just to make it more unique. That's all he did. That's all that happened.
So how did the straight one go to BSV?
Oh yeah. So the guys in BTC created the BTC logo with the B tilted 45 degrees to the right. Then when Bitcoin Cash was created, that was effectively headed by Roger Ver, because Roger Ver wanted Bitcoin Cash actually to be used as an electronic cash system that was actually opposed to BTC's kind of like digital gold narrative. They used the color green in their circle, and they tilted the B 45 degrees to the left. So when BSV came around, the option of just having a non-crooked Bitcoin symbol was available. So they took it.
Do you think it has anything to do with the wallet addresses, being that the BSV wallet address is the number one, like the original Genesis wallet addresses?
No. They just got lucky. They literally just got lucky. The fact that having a straight up non-crooked B was not being used by any of the other major chains.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That is just,
it is crazy lucky. Yeah, and the color as well. I love the kind of like yellowy gold color that they've used for the logo, as opposed to the orange and green. I think everything about it is just great. I love it.
Nice. Well, why don't we go on down? If it's anybody have other comments or questions before we start to wrap up this space here, with the Rui Da Silva, straight from London, UK. It's been a freaking pleasure, man, to have you on and
Thank you.
learn more about this, learn more about you. So it was really, really great. I appreciate all the comments and questions, that we had today and the people that came up on stage. I got a recording. I'm going to do this and put it out on YouTube as well. I mean, what can people look forward to from you? Are you gonna in the future? Are you gonna like have an app and launch party or in a business model, or what do you plan on doing?
I plan on keep developing a couple of apps until I'm totally satisfied, and then I will look into what will be the next step. But in the meantime, I'll be releasing music. I've been releasing music this year quite more frequently than the previous years. So, and just on the process of actually really getting ready to release an album for next year.
Oh, is it going to be your own album?
Yes.
Self-titled album coming out.
No, not self-titled, but it's an album of for you to listen. It's for home listening, not club music.
Oh, home listening.
Yeah.
Nice. And will it be under your name?
Yes, it's going to be under my name. Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man. So it'll be a home listening album, not a club rave style album with trance.
Yeah, I mean it's club influenced, but it's their songs basically.
Wow. All right. And how are you going to distribute the music?
Through the channels that I always distribute, which is streaming platforms.
Like Spotify?
Yeah.
Nice. Until there's a better way, that sounds like your only option, right? That's the best.
I mean, I don't see any new option coming into the future. I see a future where there will be more transparency and accountability, and you'd be more assured of what's happening. But I don't see anything new that can supersede streaming. I mean, more and more, I see more and more monetization of music usage, which is great.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, and it sounds like, people can find you on your, I've been sharing your X. It's at Rui Da Silva on X, and probably find your Spotify from there. Is that the best way for people to follow you?
Yes, I mean, I on Twitter, I very rarely speak about my music. My music work is mostly on. People want to follow me, they can find me on any streaming platform by searching for my name, and on the other social media channels, I usually don't speak about technology and speak more about the music.
Nice. All right. Yeah. Super cool, man. Are you gonna? So it's also you mentioned you're interested in a hackathon. So it sounds like that's something you'd be totally interested in participating in.
Yes, if I've got the time free and I'm not busy with any other work or commitments, yes, I would travel to go and just be present.
Yeah. Well, there's a challenge out there to get it done. So, it's going to take a little bit of a mastermind effort to get a hackathon done. Is your hand up, BSV Panama, or is that from before? Not sure if it's.
That must be from before. I hadn't put my hand up. Thank you.
All right, cool. Mila, anything you want to say here in closing? We'll go around the horn before we close down. It looks like you're back up in the Alps.
Yes, I am. Yes, no, nothing much to say other than that it's been a very pleasant space. Thanks to everybody.
All right, nice.
Thank
Satoshi, any last closing thoughts here?
It's just been great, mate. Keep doing what you're doing. Everybody keep doing what they're doing. You know, it's yeah. What I would say is just kind of just spread the word, tell everybody about Terranode. And again, if anybody hears anything about the launch of it, because I think it's going to be absolutely massive, just keep everybody in the loop.
Yeah. Yeah. Repost the space, please. Share the space, comment on it, like it. You know, any last words in closing from you, Rui Da Silva?
No, it's been a pleasure to be your guest, and no more last words.
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to go for dinner because it's dinner time here, and I've got my family looking at me, wondering, oh, when am I going to finish?
Nice. Well, thank you for jumping up with us. We'll go ahead and end it there. I appreciate everybody. Be sure to like the space, retweet the space if you're seeing it on YouTube, or if you're seeing it on X on a replay, repost it, and you know, be sure to get the word out there. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And as my great hero and mentor once said, I will see you at the top.